We are back today to rebuild the club that used to be the kings of uncovering hidden gems. Southampton built their entire identity around spotting talent before anybody else. They found Virgil van Dijk, Sadio Mané or Dusan Tadic, elite players that arrived in the Premier League undervalued and sold for huge profit years later. And that model once turned Southampton into a Premier League mainstay. But you fast forward today and they're stuck in the Championship, struggling to find a true identity. So in this rebuild, we're taking Southampton back to their roots with Moneyball in its simplest terms: buying cheap, selling high. We are setting a maximum £15 million spend on a single player, and if we ever receive an offer over £50 million, that player has to leave. So welcome to the simple Moneyball rebuild of Southampton. And here we are on Football Manager with Southampton in the Championship, which just feels a little bit wrong considering how good this club used to be. But don't worry, we've got some special help. If you didn't know, the legendary tactic creator on Football Manager, Aaron/RDF, is actually now a recruitment analyst on the game, which is fantastic. And it's the first time I've got to use him. So RDF, I will be holding you solely responsible for the transfers in this rebuild. And by the looks of it, we've got a lot of work to do because this is not the squad which once unearthed hidden talent. This is an aging squad, which doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. And for this first season, I would love to get out of the Championship. Goalkeeper Alex McCarthy is still here. I mean, I'm pretty sure he was still here when they had Mané and Van Dijk, etc. 2016, he could have potentially been the goalkeeper back then. Is now a backup goalkeeper at Southampton. Their starting goalkeeper, Bazunu, potentially, if not George Long, is on loan. I mean, what have we got ourselves into here? Some of the better players at the club include Ronnie Edwards, Flynn Downs, Taylor Harwood-Bellis, all English talent, which is exciting and will be needed for hopefully our European journey here with Southampton as well. They have got Leo Cienza at the club, who does look like a great talent, signed from Heidenheim for £7 million. But our job in this rebuild, ideally, is to find him at this point, when he's £500,000 and smashing it in Germany. Go and get him then. You know, find the third tier Bundesliga player and get them in rather than spending £7 million on him. He does look brilliant and I'm sure will be a huge part of this rebuild. And hopefully we can find a lot of talent like him. And like I've said, this is going to be a Moneyball rebuild in its simplest form. Quite simply, buying cheap, selling high. If you come into our scout filters, they are not what they have been for our other Moneyball rebuild like Brighton. This one is simply looking at players in their prime age. Van Dijk was signed, I believe, at 22, Mané at 23, and Tadic was 26. But players that were, you know, ready to step into their prime, looking for their first big contract, but undervalued. And that's what Van Dijk was at Celtic. That's what Mané was at. I don't even know where Mané came from, to be honest, and where Tadic was as well. Looking to find them players ready to take the next step and then cash in. Selling Mané to Liverpool. You know, hopefully we get our version of that in today's video. To help us find that talent, of course, we are looking into finding some wonder kids, but only signing the cheap ones, whether it's Africa, EU, South America, North America, or Asia, Oceania. These scout filtered should help us, and I will be setting up loads throughout every single season as well to help find undervalued talent. I want to keep it so we never spend more than £15 million on a single player and end up winning the Premier League, which is an outrageous thing to try and do, but something I think we have the ability to do. And while we go through this journey, I will be developing a 4-2-3-1 / hopefully sort of 4-2-4-1-1. That's not a tactic. 4-2-2-1-1 or a 4-4-1-1. What am I trying to say? I should hopefully be developing a very good 4-2-3-1 and then a slightly more defensive 4-2-3-1 variation throughout this rebuild. And that will be available on the Patreon, as well as everything else we do in this video, the start file, the end file, but we'll get into that later on. This is picked by our best 11. Yes, Ryan Fraser, the one was a Newcastle, has been a kind of a journeyman, is our starting right winger at 31 years of age. Up front, it doesn't get much better. 29-year-old Ross Stewart. Yeah, this team has got a long way to go. In cam, we have got Finn Azaz, who could be a talent throughout the most of this rebuild at 24 years of age. And of course, on the left is Leo Cienza. In DM, we have a supreme talent in Shea Charles. It is going to be very hard to keep on of Shea for the entirety of this rebuild, but I will be trying. But like I said, if we get any offers of over £50 million, they will have to leave the club. He is partnered by Flynn Downs, who at 26 years of age is kind of going into his prime years. Left back is Ryan Manning at 29 years of age. Right back is Mads Ruslev at 26, a decent player. And centre back is exciting. We've got Nathan Wood, who is just 23. Harwood Bellis, who is 23. And then we've also got Ronnie Edwards, who is 22 years of age. So centre-back, we could be set for the future. And in goal will be out Bazunu and Alex McCarthy. Other players, if they're good enough, we will talk about them. You know, players like Joel Aribo might not get too many minutes in this save, but someone like Samuel Edozie hopefully will develop into a star player on that left wing. And if he doesn't, we also have Jay Robinson, who I'm looking to try and develop as well. So we will be using some Southampton youth players as we go throughout this rebuild. And we're quite lucky because it is a club with a fantastic youth system. We've got superb training facilities, excellent youth facilities, excellent youth recruitment, and should be able to try and pit Brighton to the best talent in the South Coast. But we need to get cracking on winning the Championship and gaining promotion back to the Premier League, as that is a simple mission number one. We cannot have Southampton in a Moneyball rebuild languishing down in the Championship. And my first order of business is to apologise to Ross Stewart because he's just bagged 31 goals in 38 starts in the Championship. I don't quite know why, but Ross Stewart is apparently an absolute demon. He is also refusing to sign a brand new contract and will most likely be leaving the club. So thanks, Ross. I mean, I don't really get your game here. The team interested in him is Leicester, and well, they're in the Championship. Southampton, however, are going to become a Premier League side as we are in the playoff final up against Coventry, and we are going to absolutely destroy them. And, well, Ryan Fraser is going to destroy them. Not only did he score the first goal off some great link-up play with Scottish friend Stewart up front, he is also going to score the second, and from a very unlikely Ryan Fraser thing as well, as Tom Fellows sets this ball back to Ruslev, and Ryan Fraser scores a header, which seems absolutely wild to me. And to add the cherry on top of the cake, we did also score a third. Shea Charles linking up with Janda before Charles scored. I don't know what he's done. He hit it with the outside of his foot and it's gone into the top corner. One of the weirder goals I've seen in the match engine. But celebrations, we are a Premier League side after winning the playoff final 3-0. And overall, it's a pretty successful season. Norwich and Ipswich both just absolutely smashed the Championship. Norwich on 98 and 101 goals, with Ipswich on 94. And we finish in third place as the best of the rest on 88 points. So deserved our promotion, which is absolutely fantastic. 26 wins, 10 draws, 10 losses, 91 goals, and just 53 conceded. We were a very good side this season. And it seems like already we are building a pretty good tactic, which is a very good start. But next year, we've already got a lot of players to replace because, like I said, our striker that's just scored 32 is leaving the club. Finn Azaz was great this year, 26 goal contributions for the Irishman. His stats are fairly well-rounded, but possibly not good enough for the Premier League, but we'll have to see if we can get him working. Leo Cienza with 25 goal contributions as well was a fantastic signing, even for the £7 million. Adam Armstrong as a rotation, 11 goals, 6 assists. I feel like we can't do this again with Adam Armstrong in the Premier League, though, surely. We have to sign someone else. Ryan Fraser at 32 with 16 goal contributions. I also just feel like we can't do that to ourselves and put Ryan Fraser in the team. Samuel Edozie only started 4 games but did get 5 goals and is developing into a decent player. His stats aren't that good, I've got to say, and at 23 years of age, has got to develop pretty quickly. And Shea Charles with 8 goal contributions was very, very good. Is one of our best players and probably is our best player by quite some distance. But he does currently fall under the £50 million category, so he's going absolutely nowhere. But with some big players' contracts expiring, like Alex McCarthy, Ross Stewart, Ryan Fraser, and Joel Aribo, we are going to have to delve into the market. And as we can see by the over 1,000 players scouted, RDF has been a busy boy as we cap this at a maximum £15 million value, age 15 to 25. There is some great players on here, and I am excited to implement a very simple Moneyball strategy. This isn't data analysis. This isn't, your classic Moneyball trying to find underliers in like XG or whatever it might be in terms of data analysis. This is simple Moneyball that anyone can implement into their game saves. This is buy low, sell high. This is find bargains and make Southampton a Premier League winning side. And if you're excited for a video like this, make sure you're smashing the like button. And over 67% of you are not subscribed to the channel. So do me a massive favour and smash that subscribe button. Because this is about to be a chaotic and mental rebuild. Our first signing, a free agent. It's Randy Schneider, a Filipino central attacking midfielder who looks very good. He's just had a decent season in the Swiss top division. 2 goals, 1 assist in 26 games, but on a free contract, comes in as a rotational attacking midfielder, and this is the exact kind of bargain I'm looking for. Next up, young Brazilian goalkeeper Matias coming in from Atletico Paranaense for £5.5 million. For people that do like data analysis out there, he has got fantastic stats. A 7.33 average rating to go alongside it as well, with 7 clean sheets in 21 games last season. Matias probably could actually be the goalkeeper for the whole of this rebuild. The only thing that might stop that is the fact that he does have a minimum fee release clause of £20 million, which he wouldn't change. But I thought it was worth bringing him in for £12,000 a week, try to give him a bumper contract in a year's time, and make him our starting goalkeeper for most of this rebuild. My next signing has just scored 24 goals in 31 games in the Championship. That is Richard Kone of QPR, a 7.13 average rating, an absolute bagsman, and someone which for £7.5 million looks ready to take the step into the Premier League. After dominating the Championship, can Kone dominate the Premier League? Pretty interesting facts about this guy. A few years ago, he was actually homeless in Ivory Coast, I believe, like 6-7 years ago. Now he's moved on to Athletic Newham in the Essex Senior Leagues, then to Wycombe, then to QPR, and he looks fantastic. My mate is a QPR fan. I've been to watch him a few times this season already. And Richard Kone is an absolutely magical story, which if you've got the time, go and read up on, because he's someone which deserves a mention about hard work, grit and determination, working your way up through the English leagues in England from homelessness to now potentially being a leading Championship goal scorer in real life. My next signing is someone to back him up. It's Peter Nusa Dahl, a 22-year-old Norwegian left winger / striker, signed for just £5 million from SK Rapid. He's just got 9 goal contributions in 18 games, and this guy looks fantastic. Good speed, good strength, good height, and good finishing and mental stats as well. This could be a really good rotational player for years to come. My penultimate signing is the free agent signing of David Watson, coming in from Kilmarnock. High determination, high natural fitness. This is a John McGinn regen. He's got great technical stats, unbelievable mentals, and David Watson comes in a free contract from Killy. That's an unbelievable signing for a 21-year-old Scottish central defensive midfielder who is also capped for the national team. And finally, talking of a bargain, Josh Achampong has been fantastic in real life for Chelsea this season and now joins Southampton for just £5 million. Talk about undervalued talent. He hasn't got the highest potential yet, but this guy, as a right back or right-sided centre-back, I believe we can change that star rating to 5-star and make Josh Achampong an English international in just a few seasons. And our main outgoing on top of all the free agents that have left is Wellington, who was left to Al Ittihad, a left back who sold for over £11 million. He had a great season last year with 9 assists in 37 games, but he wanted to leave when Al Ittihad come in and offer you 175 grand. I'm not really surprised. So this is your new look Southampton side. A few players brought in through the academy and a bunch of star players. In goal, Matias. A back four, Ruslev, Edwards, Howard Bellis and Kwashi, who is a youngster coming into the team potentially for this season. If not, Juan Larios, who has been out on loan, will come in and play at left back. In DM, Shea Charles and Flynn Downs stay there, with Tom Fellows making it a starting position in the right wing. I'm excited to see what this guy can do because he's just had a great season in the Championship. On the left, we have to give Leo Cienza his chance to impress. Well, in the cam role, it is Schneider or potentially Finn Azaz as the starter. And up front, of course, led by big man Richard Kone. Will this team struggle in the Premier League? Probably. I wouldn't be surprised if we are down there battling for relegation. At 2,000 to 1, we are listed as the worst team in the Premier League. But a squad average age of just 21 gives me a lot of confidence that over the next 3 4, 5 seasons, we can turn Southampton into trophy winners, European champions, and hopefully Premier League winners along the way. And all of that while making a fantastic tactic, which as mentioned early on will be available on the Patreon, as well as every single file throughout this rebuild. So if you guys want to do a Southampton rebuild challenge, that'll be linked down in the description. You can pick it up from the start or the end, where Southampton are stupidly mega rich. Our team is built up of undervalued stars, and your job is to keep them at the top of the English pyramid. It is all available for a purchase of £3, or monthly you can support me for £5 a month and get access to every single tactic and every single rebuild file we make on the channel, as well as a bunch of other things as well. The Patreon is linked down below, and anyone that does help support over there, you are quite literally helping make my dreams come true of potentially one day becoming a full-time content creator. So a massive thank you to anyone that can help support down in the description below. Now, like I said, this season was always going to be hard, and it started off that way as well, with no victories in our first 10 games until we got to face up against Leeds, and we grabbed a 3-0 win, and in October grabbed 2 wins, one against Fulham and one against Brentford. But in the second half of the season, Richard Kone found his scoring boots and ended up the season on 19 goals in 35 games, which, you know, Liam Delap grabbed 13 at Ipswich and he was wanted by everyone. So for Rich Kone to grab 19 is pretty insane. He was also helped by the elite first season of Matias, who despite conceding 63 goals this season, managed to get a 7.04 average rating and was pretty good in terms of his XG prevented per 90 minutes. He had a saves per 90 of 6.37 as well, showing that we were being absolutely bombarded by shots, but having a good shot stopper like Matias was key. Other than them two, I won't lie, it wasn't fantastic in terms of our star performers. They were pretty much the only two that really stand out in terms of goals or average rating. Out on loan, however, Samuel Edozie just had a great season in the Championship with 11 goal contributions while being on loan at Luton. So hopefully someone that can come back next year as a star. And we are going to need him in the Premier League, because we have just finished in 12th place, which actually is a really good season. And while we look like we're sort of a mid-table side, we are quite far off, you know, the Palace, the Brentford, etc. And we are only, you know, 6 points off being in 17th place, 8 points actually, and a 19 negative goal difference as well. Doesn't help, and I feel like the second half of the season we really picked things up. But the start was pretty rough, I've got to say. We are hopefully going to have a better, you know, few seasons going forward. But that second season sort of Premier League syndrome is a real thing, especially on Football Manager, because morale is so important on this year's game and in any Football Manager. The second season is always a lot harder because your players, well, they've just had a season winning the promotion, and then they sort of have a good couple of months in the Premier League, and then it all falls down the second season. Hopefully we can stop that from happening with some great signings to already add to a pretty good side. And I've got to say the tactic is coming along nicely. I do think potentially we are due to drop this cam down and become very defensive and like a 4-5-1 kind of vibe, but we'll see how things go over the next couple of seasons and develop a really good tactic, hopefully, which should be good. I have locked in my Brighton 4-2-3-1, which we used for the Brighton rebuild, and that tactic was absolutely fantastic. Ended up winning the Premier League with Brighton in just 4 seasons using Moneyball. If you haven't seen that journey and you are interested in a more in-depth data analysis Moneyball rebuild, I would highly recommend going to watch that. But the real good thing is that financially we are becoming stupidly rich already. We started the season with £29.6 million. We then started this season, at around 40 million, and are now at £110 million, with that Premier League money showing a nice sharp rise. So of course financially we have got a bunch of money to spend, but remember our cap, only spending £15 million maximum on a single player, and if anyone does get an offer of over 50, they have to leave the club. So checking out the transfer value, Shay Charles could potentially reach that with his value, and he is wanted by Fulham, Liverpool and Manchester United. For now, he stays at the club as no offers came in for him, which I'm very happy about. Which means our job is to build a top tier side around him early on. And that is what I think I've done. Our first signing, Oliver Prostigad, comes in for just 5.25 million and could be the next Van Dijk signing. He looks absolutely brilliant. Next up is Jacopo Fazzini, a £7 million central attack midfielder brought in to rotate with Finn Azaz. Next up is Peyton Miller. If you have not signed this guy before, give him a whirl. £5.25 million release clause, 19 pace, 17 acceleration. He will probably leave us at some point in this rebuild because he is one of the highest potential left backs in the game. And our penultimate signing is Yusuf Seydou, signed for £4.6 million to be an energetic defensive midfielder, with our final being a brand new right back in Kacper Kościerski, an £8 million signing from VFL Bochum. So the team hasn't changed too much, but we have added some new stars. A brand new left back in Peyton Miller. Ashimpong coming in to be a pretty fantastic right back as well, already progressing on a bunch of different levels. In DM, Seydou can sit next to Charles and be that defensive sort of master, and Fazzini can hopefully take that cam role and create like a little Italian genius. Tom Fellows keeps his spot in the right wing position. He's actually been really good throughout this rebuild so far. 33 games in the Premier League last season, which for someone that just, 2 or 3 seasons ago was playing in League 2 at Crawley, is pretty good. And Leo Cienza keeps his spot in the left wing position as well, adding in that flair and dribbling on the left hand side. Of course, once again, we are massively underappreciated in the Premier League with 18th place as our prediction, but considering last year's 12th, I'm looking to go back to back in mid-table. Like I said, that could be hard with the second season syndrome, but hopefully this Southampton side is going to prove me wrong. And well, it's not just proved me wrong and got back-to-back 12th places in the Premier League. And by the way, very weird, a negative 19 goal difference again. And it's got us back to Wembley, and this time in an FA Cup final in a game against Everton, where we zoomed straight on into the FA Cup final extra time, where Finn Azaz gets us 1-0 up in the 101st minute. But Everton weren't going to go down without a fight, and with Ruben Neves driving down the left-hand side before finding Tierno Barry in the box, they levelled the game up just 2 minutes after we scored. But just 4 minutes after that, in the 107th minute of the extra time in the FA Cup, Leo Cienza finds Finn Azaz, who beats his man and scores for Southampton in an FA Cup final, making us champions of England in the cup sense, already just 3 seasons in, lifting the most prestigious competition in the game. I mean, that is fantastic for just 3 seasons of work. So after a 12th place Premier League season and getting an FA Cup final, we're going to be in the Europa League next season, which is quite scary, I'll be honest, because we've had a decent year. Let's not kid ourselves here. We've had a pretty good year. We've got mid-table Premier League football and European. But 18 goals from Finn Azaz with 7 assists just feels a little bit unachievable to go back-to-back. He's a decent player, but the Irishman has just absolutely carried us to a FA Cup final victory, which is insane. Peter Nostadal scored 17 and made a bunch of games this season, and Richard Kone grabbed 16 and 3 assists. Tom Fellows, 22 goal contributions with 12 assists from right wing is insane, and 9 assists also from Peyton Miller with a 7.01 average rating as our best player, joint with goalkeeper Maciel, who is just insane for just £5 million. Other signings like Oliver Prostagad got a 6.92, which is a fantastic season. Josh Ashimpong, a 6.9 in 30 starts. Shay Charles, a 6.8. Obviously still has that crazy high value. Other signings like Kacper, a 6.69, not quite as good in only 19 starts, but I'm sure he will get there. David Watson, 42 starts, which is a bit worrying with a 6.58. Been a pretty good player though. As a rotation midfield, this guy would actually be elite, just maybe not as a starter, but very happy with the signing of him. Jay Robinson is in the first team, still has 5-star potential, is not growing at all. And I'm pretty sure this guy is tipped to be an absolute star in real life. Currently on FM26, I'll be honest, he's a little bit mid. And the same goes for Samuel Edozie, just unable to take the step to the Premier League. Absolutely no progression from him this season. Only 4 starts, 3 goal contributions. I mean, I'm not going to kind of put the team down to try and get him in the team, so we might have to move him on with that kind of value. Not that we need to financially at all, because we are stupidly mega rich, even just 3 seasons in. And with European football coming in to help this as well, I imagine we're going to get even more stupidly mega rich. So let's get into season 4 already and see if we can sign some more undervalued talent to hopefully take us to European glory. So welcome in our most expensive signing yet at exactly £15 million, Edu Altozano. And this guy, he looks absolutely insane. 16 long shot, 17 balance, a little Spanish defence midfielder at just 21 years of age. He looks incredible. Moving on from him for 9.75 million, we welcome Isaac Babadi from PSV. Again, looks absolutely fantastic. And we've also signed Matteo Zanotti as a rotational right back for 6.75 million, 16 anticipation, great speed, and 14 crossing. Now, sadly, this year we did have a big outgoing as Shea Charles joins Real Madrid for £51 million. I believe it's raising to about 65. Shea Charles has been fantastic for us. It is a shame to see him go, but Shea Charles at Real Madrid is pretty awesome. And my final signing to replace him is Nicholas Sattelberger, a 16 anticipation, again, big physical player with great technical stats, joins the club for 13.75 million. So we have gone big on improving the DMs in this team. As things stand, we are still led by Richard Kone. We still have the Southampton attacking trio in Fellows, Azaz and Edozie in behind, with the Altozano and Schaltenberg in DM. Ashimpong, Prostegad, Ronnie Edwards, Peter Miller and Moisiel make up the defence, but our backups are now really good. Bazunu, Koshierski, K.E. Sander, who is a wonder kid they have got already at the club, Harwood Bellis, Zanotti, Seydou, Watson, Cienza, Babadi, Robinson, Dahl and Fazzini make up the backups, which is so important because, of course, this season, not only are we in the Community Shield, it means we are also in the Europa League, as well as the Premier League, where we are looking to improve on our back-to-back 12th positions, which we have managed to do with a 9th place finish and for the first time reaching the top half of the Premier League. That is also while conceding 77 goals, the joint most in the entire league, and a negative 21 goal difference. So, yeah, not a great defensive season for us. So I do think next season we do drop this central attack midfielder to help us out in the sort of defensive transition out of possession, as it looks like we are being overran. We also got robbed in January, and that probably doesn't help, as Oliver Prostegad leaves to join Stuttgart for £33 million, which, considering we spent just 6 million on him, is pretty good. He's not done very well so far at Stuttgart, but I was sort of hoping this guy would be our long-term centre-back and be our Van Dijk of the rebuild. Not really happened. He's gone on already for 33 million, which is a shame, but is someone very, very good in this team, and we'll have to move on. We also need another centre-back as well, so centre-back is a real position of need. But the rest of the team is doing quite well, especially in knockout stages of cups. And also league phases of Europe, as we finish in 8th place and get automatic qualification to the round of 16 in the Europa League, where we played FC Frankfurt and lost 4-0 in the first leg and drew 2-2 in the second. So despite being one of the best 8 teams, we instantly get knocked out in the round of 16. So European glory will have to wait. And so will FA Cup glory, as we actually lose 3-2 in the quarterfinals to Brentford, despite goals from Babadi and Richard Kone. Lucas Beltran, who was one of the best strikers on FM24, comes in for Brentford and wins them the quarterfinals. The FA Cup was in fact won by Liverpool in a 2-1 victory over Spurs. I'm looking to get this back at some point. So with all of that being said, it does mean no European football for us next season, which I don't think is a bad team. We have got an incredibly young squad, which we can see from our season preview, just 22 years of age, and based on squads around us, they are getting older teams simply to survive in the Premier League. Within a couple of seasons, I do think we can break into this 7th, 6th, 5th, and eventually try and get into that top 4. We have got such a young squad. If we can keep it together, that will certainly be possible. Especially because some of our new signings are performing ridiculously well. Our top goal scorer, joint this season, was Isaac Babadi. 9.75 million is all this guy cost, and he scored 20 goals and got 9 assists. Richard Kone still absolutely smashing it with 20 goals also, and Tom Fellows still with great goal contributions this season at 19. Still doesn't want to leave the club, which is fantastic. Peter Noosa is potentially interested, and for that sort of money, I would let him go. In terms of our highest value players, Yeah, Peyton Miller has got a value of 67 million, which I'm not surprised at, a 7.01 average rating. He is wanted by Chelsea, but as you can see, if I come to transfer, ask agents about interest, say we're keen, they're never going to offer for him. And I've been doing this, and I do it for the whole summer window, and Peyton Miller is staying at the club. And I'm not going to complain about that whatsoever. It's awesome to see as well Josh Ashampong become one of the best players at the club. Still no caps for England, and that's a nice little challenge for the rest of this rebuild to attempt to get him into the English national team. And I do always want to check if we've got any regens in the first team just yet. Not yet, but they are coming. If we sort this by potential, we've got a couple of really good ones. Cade Catamel is a left centre-back who looks brilliant with 5-star potential with 17 acceleration. Mod Ferdoz Azmi is a high-potential right-wing/striker. Tom McDonald is a 5-star centre-back midfielder with 19 determination. And like I said earlier, we have got some of the best facilities in the land. So developing this young talent is fairly easy for us. So I'm attempting to loan out a bunch of this talent this season, all listed on the loan list. Everyone here above 4.5 star. Some of them might not. Tom McDonald might stay at the club. He is absolutely incredible. Even after a summer of even more growth and development, which is incredible. At, what is he, 18 years of age? 19 years of age. He just looks so good and could be an absolute star for us. Joshua Wright as well as an attacking right winger. Not much speed about him, but 15 finishing, 16 bravery, 18 aggression. As like a pressing forward, this guy could be an absolute menace. Awesome that he looks the exact same as Tom McDonald. Maybe they're twins. But moving on from our scary twins, let's check out the transfers. We have got a brand new striker in Ricardo Matias. This guy looks absolutely incredible as our new number 9, signed for just £11.25 million. After a bunch of great seasons in Brazil, Ricardo comes in at 192 centimetres, and I've got a feeling this guy is going to be absolutely broken. And he is the only one joining the first team for this season. But looking into the rotational positions, we have got a brand new backup goalkeeper on a free contract from Arsenal, Alexei Rojas Fedorushenko. That's about as good as that's going to get. 16 determination and 186 centimetres tall. A great backup on a free contract. We also signed Abdoulaye Faye, a Senegalese centre-back who looks brilliant and is left-footed. We also have one more signing, I believe. Actually, maybe not. That is it. Just the 3 transfers, and Abdoulaye Faye, to confirm, cost me just £11.5 million from Bayer Leverkusen. So another fantastic signing. And of course, the reason we didn't go absolutely mental is because we are only in the Premier League this season. We are down in 17th place in the prediction, but clear of like the 1,000 and 2,000 to 1 we were at the start of this rebuild, which is a great sign. So let's carry this on and try and get back into European football for season number 6. Which isn't going to come from winning the FA Cup, as once again in the quarterfinals we get knocked out, this time in extra time to Norwich. But after our fantastic start to the season, it could happen in the league. We were unbeaten in the league until the 8th of September when we lost to Arsenal away from home, and then didn't lose another game until the 26th of November. And our end of season form was pretty good as well. Some big victories like 4-2 against Palace, 3-1 against Birmingham, 2-1 at home to Manchester City, 1-0 against Sunderland, 3-0 against Manchester United, and finishing the season off with revenge against Norwich in a 3-1 victory. Which puts us by far in our best league position yet on 65 points and 11 positive goal difference and 7th place, meaning Southampton are going back to the Europa League. A fantastic year this year, just literally 2 points away from a Champions League spot, which is a huge rise. That not being in Europe has helped us massively. And if we didn't lose 4-0 on the penultimate day of the season to Spurs, we'd have leapfrogged them and Manchester United, which is a real shame. We did beat United as well in the 3rd game towards the end of the season, but sadly not enough to get Champions League football. This season, we did have a bit of a star. Ricardo Matias, I thought it'd be good. 32 goals this season. If you guys see this guy in your saves, go and get him. I think he'll only be here for this season. He's already wanted by Al Hilal. We know what happens when Saudi comes in for your best players. They often leave, and with a value of £50 million, I'm obliged to say yes if an offer comes in. Isaac Wabadi in back-to-back seasons has absolutely smashed it. 16 goals and 9 assists for him. And Tom Fellows, our second best player in average rating over the course of the entire season with 6 goals, 13 assists. If you're doing a Southampton save, make sure to use Tom Fellows. He is an absolute menace. Someone else who's had a bit of a late revitalisation in this save has been Samuel Edozie, who at 27 years of age has just got 11 goal contributions in the Premier League, which is awesome. Edu Altazano, our DM, doing bits as well. In terms of average ratings, it is Ricardo Matias, Maishiel, Tom Fellows, Peyton Miller, who of course stays at the club, and Tom McDonald. Let's talk about Tom. He could be the difference maker. He is still under £50 million in value, 17 determination, 17 technique. I think Tom McDonald could be our best player in the next year or two. His stats look insane, and with that determination and a resolute personality, we could be having something special. After he won't be playing balls through to Ricardo Matias, as I was correct, he is now on up to £750,000 a week, and we sold him for 54 million. 5x star money in one season. I mean, that is a ridiculous year. Premier League top goal scorer year. But we'll take that, won't we? That's not too bad at all. And I've replaced him with a Thailand striker from Kobe for 4.4 million. Sitakorn Jarian Satarak could be the best player on the game. 18 finishing, 16 composure, electric speed. Sitkorn is insane. I have never seen a regen from Thailand this good. If you guys aren't scouting in Asia, in Africa, do yourself a favour. You can sign some insane players for £4.5 million. And I've said throughout every single rebuild we do on the channel, the recruitment focuses aren't anything special. Simply EU under 21s looking into half a star, 1.5 star. It is the exact same for SANA, ASOC. You can see I even linked these two together to simply just sort of like help us bring more players into one search criteria using just one member of staff, Africa. And then we've also got the age 21 to 25, which is also helping us find some sort of like next level players, again, under £15 million. For example, Assam Wadrago, 6 million currently. Ridiculous price. These filters are absolutely broken. Not only have we signed Sitkorn, we've also signed Thiago Perez for 6.5 million with 18 determination, electric speed and crossing. And I believe there is also 2 more. Ethan Buterez from Luzerne for 7.25 million is incredible. And Marcelo Augusto, 13.5, 19 determination, Brazilian left winger. Alvaro Ortega is a Spanish centre-back for 10 million. Simon Butkic is a player from Rekia. 4.1 million for this guy. 17 composure. Obviously 9 finishing, but if you don't know, composure is very important. 16 natural fitness, 4.1 million. The last couple of years, he has been absolutely broken in terms of match rating. So he also joins the club. And I do think Simon could be a bit of a undercover gem for just £4 million. And we have also changed into the more 4-5-1 system to attempt to be more counter-attacking. And this will be a tactic we'll go on the Patreon, because you're about to see it's pretty good. In terms of our front line, Jaron Satkarak is up top, and I'm excited to see what he can do for a whole season. Marcelo on the left, Fallows on the right, Babadi in the cam, Bouchez and Sattelberg in DM, Kosciuszki, Ashampong, Faye, Miller and Maisiel in goal. And so far, like I said, we've kept every single transfer under the £15 million mark, which is insane. Going through every single season, you can see we have done that so far. We have, of course, made some insane sales throughout the rebuild as well, and rebuilt this side into now a Europa League team, and we're pretty insane as well. I think this season could be absolutely dangerous. And we showed that in particular in the cup competitions, as we got all the way to the final of the Carabao Cup, and then the most interesting own goal I have ever seen happens as William Saliba and Jurriën Timber start messing around with the ball before Timber sticks it in the back of his own net. Thanks, Jurriën. I appreciate the early 1-goal lead. Arsenal did level things up just half an hour later as Ethan Nwaneri, who has developed into one of the best players in the game, links up with Kai Havertz before he puts it in to the back of the net. But we go on to lift our first Carabao Cup of the video as Choskarewski and Butik link up on the right-hand side for a ball goes in to superstar Tom McDonald to score to make it 2-1 and give Southampton our first Carabao, which now means 2 trophies on the list, an FA Cup and a Carabao. And this is Tom McDonald after 14 starts and 29 games on the bench, 12 goal contributions, looking absolutely incredible. The question is, could he also help us in the Europa League? Well, he helped us get straight in to the round of 16 when we faced up against rivals Brighton, beat them 2-1 in the first leg and drew 1-1 in the second, which fired us on into the quarterfinals, facing up against Bayer Leverkusen. Alisson, I presume that the goalkeeper, scored to make it 1-0 before Tom Fellows and Sam Adozi scored to make it 2. Awesome to see 2 players that are already at Southampton in real life get on the score sheet in the Europa League quarter-final. In the semis, it was Juventus, and goals from Altazano and Kone drew 2-2 away from home for an Isaac Babadi 1-0 sent us on into the final. We faced up against Spurs, a team which I really wish we didn't face up against because they are so good on FM26, and they took the lead through a goal from Dejan Kulishevsky. But we had some talent of our own, and we were able to counter-attack at an extremely fast rate. Altazano, the club's most expensive signing, a ridiculous ball through for Satarak, who with 18 finishing was never going to miss that. And who else could be better to help us lift a Europa League final? Tom Fellows down the right-hand side finds Altazano, and Samuel Adozi fires home to give us a 2-1 victory and make Southampton European champions. We've won the Carabao, we've won the FA Cup, we've won a European trophy. We now just need to win the Premier League, which granted isn't going to happen this season as we finish down in 10th place with a negative 13 goal difference. But lifting 2 trophies gives me a lot of hope that it could be within the next year or 2 that we make Southampton Premier League champions. And there's a couple of reasons for that as well, because there's some decent players in this team, not just Tom McDonald, but we've replaced the striker that scored 32 with one that scored 28 for 4.5 million. Sitakorn Jarigan Satarak is an absolute baller. He is already wanted by Al Hilal. I really don't want to let him go. If we get an offer, I would accept it. But I really hope Satarak stays because he is incredible. Isaac Babadi, 22 goals, 16 assists. Actually our highest goal contributions by quite some distance. Remember, this guy cost me £9.5 million from PSV. What an insane signing. Samuel Adozi with 8 goals and 9 assists. Like I said, a resurgence for him, which is incredible. And now a cap for Nigeria as well. And assist-wise, Tom Fellows, 11 with 4 goals. And average rating-wise, it is Isaac Babadi, Jarratan, and then Maciel, who despite us conceding loads of goals, is still incredible. So season 6 is in the books. 2 trophies. Back in Champions League football for the first time, actually. And now going for a Premier League. What could go wrong? Well, we could have a whole week in between recordings. As you can tell, I've Christmasified the whole house, and I've been to a wedding for 3 days. So that's what could go wrong. I could completely forget my train of thought, and this video's due out today. So season 7. Now, of course, we have built a simply terrific team, which is due the last sprinklings on top to make this team a Premier League challenger. And the signings I've made to hopefully sprinkle us over the line include Jona Benkovic, Juan Gonzalez, Hector Mino, a fantastic young left winger, Noah Mikic, a very good right back on Football Manager, always has been, and finally Thiago Maciel, a young player going back to his home club for Milcial, because of course we have to leave you guys on Patreon some wonder kids that are going to feed in to this first team, which means there's been 5 signings, all of course under the £15 million range. And the team, well, it doesn't look too different. We've still got Mino on this left-hand side, Babadi in the cam role, Fellows on the right-hand side, Benkovic and Sattelberg, Kushevsky, Ashenpong, Fay and Miller, which means the team is all set up to go for the Premier League, which I think could be possible this season. Now, we still never got an offer for Peyton Million, despite being worth £77 million, which is incredible. 19 pace now on the youngster. The midfield duo of Benkovic, who is an elite elite ball player with 17 passing, 17 technique, but also an 187 centimetre stature next to Sattelberg, who is also a big boy. 192 centimetres for Nicholas, more of a defensive archetype of a player with 16 strength, 16 jumping reach, making the perfect defensive midfield duo. Faye has been brilliant since joining last season, the left-footed centre-back, with Josh Ashenpong, who we signed like season number 1, becoming an absolute mainstay in this team, an absolute bargain. Of course, Cicherski, the right wing back, a value over £50 million. Well, there is interest in him, but no offers. There is a loan deal from Freiburg. You're absolutely skunked if you think we're doing that. Of course, as a backup, Noah Mikic could come in and take his spot. And in goal, we have kept with Maciel as well, despite his stats not being incredible, despite only being a 2.5-star rated player. He just never really disappointed me. One season at a 6.84. Other than that, pretty much always over a 7 average rating. So Maciel, I think we've found the next Edison/Addison coming out of Brazil. And of course, we're led by our Thai striker, Sigurd Jaran Satarak, who I'm excited to see what he can do this season with his 18 finishing, his 16 composure, his ridiculous speed, and a reminder, he cost me just £4.9 million. It wasn't the greatest first season for him, but hopefully in season 2, he can pick up what Ricardo Matias did do and make us a Premier League challenger once again. And well, we did put pretty much all of our eggs in Sitcorn performing this season, and he did. 16 goals in 27 games and a 7.05 average rating. But just 27 games means there was a pretty significant injury, which meant we had to turn to brand new signing Hector Minho to lead the line in a lot of games this season, and he done quite well. 5 goals and 8 assists in the Premier League this season, 30 matches, an 11.5 average rating. But it was overall where he grabbed 11 and 13 as he absolutely smashed it in the Champions League with a further 5 goals as well. Now a value of £65 million, a signing just one summer ago of 11.5. This is the exact Southampton method I was looking to make. It was also pretty cool that cover star Richard Kone also had a part to play this season, starting 4 games, 5 at the bench, just 2 goals for him. But Richard has been here since season number 1. Of course, now no, he is the cover star, and he was fantastic at the start of this and has been around as a backup for the last 3 years. But what a story Richard Kone has been. Let's try and make him a Premier League winner. And in all honesty, this team was just absolutely fantastic. We started the 4th season in elite form. Of course, only against Norwich and Leeds, but not winning both of them. Before drawing against Manchester City, beating Villa, Palace and Spurs, Lille, drawing to Chelsea, beating Hull, beating Palace, beating Arsenal, drawing to Everton, and even getting a decisive 3-2 victory away from home against Liverpool. We sadly didn't manage to lift the cup competition this season as we got knocked out in the semi-finals by Manchester City on aggregate in the Carabao Cup, and sadly lost 2-1 in extra time against Bolton of all teams in the FA Cup 4th round. And in the Champions League, it wasn't really the greatest showing either. We lost to Marseille and then drew 2-2 in the second leg. A 94th minute Charles de Ketelaere goal knocked us out in the round of 16. So it was all down to the Premier League and our end of season form, going unbeaten in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games. Well, that's Premier League winning form. But the team we were battling was Liverpool. As you can see, based on their schedule, they had also been absolutely incredible this season. A little crumble late on in April, and obviously also being in the Conference League as well. They had a lot of games to play, but so many victories this season. But it was in the games against us where we came out on top. A 3-2 victory in the first game of the season and a 4-3 victory later on in the campaign meant after 7 seasons, Southampton were Premier League winners by just 2 points, beating Liverpool by them 2 points and them 2 crucial victories over them being the difference maker. We both won 25 games this season. We drew a few more but didn't lose as many as them. We scored 10 less goals than them, only conceded 1 less, but what matters is points per game, and that is where we came in clutch. And I've been saying for a very long time in rebuilds like this, average age of squad means such a big thing in rebuilds like this, because your younger players are able to perform over a whole season with their higher natural fitness, and eventually they can overthrow teams like Brighton with a 28-year-old average, Liverpool with a 27, not refreshing their side, us with the youngsters coming through at 22 years of age. And my goal for this rebuild was to find the next Sadio Mané. And I think in this season, we've done that with Hector Minio coming in from Argentina, 24 goal contributions this year. We also wanted to try and find the next Virgil van Dijk, and I think we've done that. Just not in this season. And he did actually end up leaving us. It was Provstigad. This guy I sort of have as my Virgil van Dijk-esque player coming in. He's not gone on to have the most amazing career. He's actually playing now at Monaco. But this guy I think is absolutely fantastic. And we signed him for 6 million, signed him for 33 just 2 seasons later. Big fan of Oliver Prostigad, Danish as well, so it kind of fits the bill. The other centre-back we have kind of got, which does also fit the bill, I mean, it has to be Josh Ashenpong. Van Dijk coming from Celtic, Josh Ashenpong coming from Chelsea, both coming from the UK. This guy, just £5 million, has now also made his England debut, which is a massive, massive win. And also our Dusan Tadic. And that has to be Isaac Berbadi. This guy for £11.25 million has been our goal-scoring wizard. And again, an unbelievable player, 23 goals this season and 9 assists, also coming from Dutch football, which of course Tadic famously at Ajax, etc., and a bunch of other teams as well. Isaac Berbadi is our Tadic, and that has been the most simplest terms of Moneyball on FM26. Not buying a player for more than £15 million, selling them for over £50 million. And based on our recruitment history as well, which you can see on screen, we have done very well at recouping a lot of money. This season, around the same. Last season, £70 million profit. Season before that, £100 million profit. Season before that, £20 million profit. Season before that, we spent £20 million more. Season before that, we raised £20 million. And the first season, nothing whatsoever. So around £250 million in transfer profit. Overall balance now of £292 million. We have made Southampton probably a dynasty for the future. A bunch of young stars. And if you guys do want to pick this save up with £196 million in the transfer bank and go wild with one of the best teams in the Premier League, it is available on the Patreon down below. If you did enjoy, make sure you're smashing the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll speak to you guys next time.